Now, in my correspondence and my meetings with the Post Office, frankly, I found it very, very passive. I can get no coherent response from either the Post Office or from the former Minister. I've not had a chance to speak to the current Minister about this. But it feels like, the responses I do get, it feels like the role is one of from the Post Office organisation is passive. The Post Office representative told me yesterday that if no one applies, then what can we do about it? You know, that doesn't seem to me like a proactive response from an important government-overseen operation. Now, there is the Post Office access criteria, which talks about 90% of people living within 3 miles of a post office and 99% of the UK population within 3 miles of their nearest post office or outlet, 95% of the total urban population across the UK to be within 1 mile of the nearest post office. But frankly, that doesn't make a lot of sense if your community or the place you can get to by the buses doesn't have a post office. In Brentford, we have a post office just over a mile away, but you can't get there by bus, and there's nowhere to park anywhere near it either. It's a tiny little shop. We should have one in Brentford town centre, and the post office should recognise it. Now, I've now been told that the post office realises that Brentford is a priority and should have a main post office. But why didn't they think it was a priority 2 years ago when we knew that this was going to be an issue? So my ask of the Minister and for the Post Office is to work together to address what I see as a public sector duty to deliver a core service in all town centres, and you could define that. We could use the also for transport access. We could use for public transport access. We could use what planning uses, the PTAL grading, which is the enables you to define the criteria in terms of the quality of public transport access, parking, and so on. You could look at grants, you could look at the transaction costs. And I also do think, the mover of the motion today was talking about declining business in the Post Office's core services. It is true, many of us do use many services online that we used to go to the Post Office for. But where is the Post Office nationally looking at new business, at basic banking, at new opportunities? Where's that entrepreneurial spirit where you could combine the best of the private sector entrepreneurialism and new technology with the public sector duty, in a sense the government perceived monopoly for services?
For giving me just on that point that she's making, would you agree with me that part of the problem is that not just this but successive governments haven't looked at those issues that she's outlining? They seem to perceive a post office as business of the 90s and the 2000s rather than for the current and future generations.
The honourable member has expressed exactly my feelings about dealing with the Post Office. It's passive, it's backward-looking, it's old-fashioned. It has an inherent benefit, both in terms of its reputation as a brand and its legal position of governance. So I am told that the Post Office is, with a new chief exec who has been in post for just 6 months. My understanding is that the Post Office is soon to release a strategic review about its role. And I am looking forward to hearing positive, forward-looking answers to my concerns so that my constituency and my town centre is like so many other villages, town centres, suburbs, towns, is served properly by this important government-owned public service. Thank you very much, Mr.